How are you doing, friend? I'm here to give you your tarot message for today. See what general guidance you need to hear, some predictions, maybe something to be looking out for. Just all the gossip, all the tea, friend, right? I hope you've been doing well, my lovely Leo. You already know I always give you guys so much love because Leos always know how to give me the most love as well. If you look down below, though, Leo, you'll notice there's timestamps there. So the first portion, we just talk about you, your favorite subject, just you, Leo. So we talk about, again, your general life, maybe your career pops up, financial pops up, something to look forward to, something to look out for, Leo, all the business, just what you would generally expect, right? Maybe I allow my intuitive messages to flow, some messages from my spirit guides to flow for those that might need to hear something channeled. But then the second portion, Leo, I get to talking about your social life. I understand not everyone cares about hearing about, an ex or a person on their mind, or maybe you're just not talking to nobody, right? So I always like to keep those separate there. And if you're interested in just hearing about your general social life, that's an option. You can check it out later on. But let's just start talking about the most important subject for today, which is you, Leo. Let's see what's going on in your life right now. Let's see. Let's catch up, friend. It's been a moment for Leo, right? It's been a moment. Eight of Cups, High Priestess, and then the Judgment. So while it's been a moment since we've last connected, Leo, ooh, friends, you've been going through it. You've been doing some really important decisions in your life that honor you. And I know that sounds a little bit like, okay, Velka, what does that really mean? It's like you're choosing to say no when you typically would say yes, because the people-pleasing aspect in you, Leo, would typically have you saying yes, even though you didn't really want to. It's you vocalizing and speaking up your boundaries when you typically wouldn't. I don't know. It's like you're just being more unapologetic, Leo. It's like it's becoming more important for you to honor yourself. I'm being shown even references to your inner child as well. Maybe that's part of your own inner child healing, is speaking up for yourself because you never no one spoke up for you as a kid, perhaps there. But you're on a path right now where, because of this behavior, it's unfortunately you're having to walk away from a lot of people, right? Which is crazy when you think about it, Leo, because it's just all right, wait a minute. How is it that I choose to raise my standard of self-respect, and then all of a sudden that inconveniences all of you, right? You're supposedly my friends and family, but the moment I raise my self-respect, now it's a problem? Right? So to me, Leo, it's you've had to make some tough decisions in your life where it's man, you care about these people. They've been part of your life for so long, but you're just hey, I gotta do me. I gotta put myself first, Lucius. Gotta put myself first. You know where I'm referencing? Let me know if you know in the comments below. And I like this, though. I feel as if I keep on hearing the phrase reclaiming my time as well, that old meme as well, reclaiming my time. I feel as if you're making more time for yourself, Leo. And if you haven't, maybe you've been on the fence. Maybe recently that's what's been going on, Leo, where you're just you're thinking about it, be man, I really need to take some time to start reading again. Or, you're making perhaps some pass by comments like that. And it's just no, you actually should, Leo. And I know I probably, it's funny because when most people think about Leos, you generally will think, being okay, well, they have no problems talking about themselves. But the thing is, it's when it comes to Leos and when they care about people, Leos will put themselves as the bottom of the priority list because they just like to uplift and love people so passionately and put them in the spotlight as well. And so a lot of Leos tend to feel neglected because it's I don't know, they get stereotyped the most, I feel. Maybe I'm wrong, right? I don't really have much of Leo placements in my chart, I don't believe. Maybe one. So maybe I'm speaking out of character here, but I don't know. I feel that's been a big thing that's been on your chest for a while, Leo, is needing to make decisions that just honor you, even if it inconveniences other people or even inconveniences your own life in some way there. But I think you're making the right decisions. You're in the right direction here, friend. All right. What are you manifesting? Ace of Wands, looking fabulous, starting out really fabulous here. The Hermit in the reverse. There's going to be a reason given to you to get out of the house, Leo. Pay attention to your spiritual team. In the next week or two, I feel intuitively they're going to be providing some type of interest popping up in your life there that's going to keep you busy. Should you choose to break the habit, Leo, of being in that hermit phase for some of you, all right? Some of you guys have been making it a habit to be bed rotting like 8 hours a day. Maybe you're even watching me right now, Leo, and you're bed rotting a little bit, or you're trying to use this video to bed rot, you know? And so, yeah, just make sure that, start breaking the pattern now, Leo. Start trying to get on a good sleep schedule now, because when this interest comes in, you kind of already want to be out of the house. You kind of want to be already stretching your bones a little bit there. And then we pull the Lovers energy, friend. Now, just because we pull the Lovers, Leo, I'm sure you know, right? And if you don't, that's okay as well. But the Lovers is so much more nuanced than just like love, right? It's one of the most complex tarot cards in the deck, because you'll see, I'm going to cover it because sometimes the app doesn't like how, this card shows some titty, honey. But it's usually illustrated by like Adam and Eve. And so it really can represent the sense of like the thinking about the consequences of your actions, like how everything can change with just a simple decision, right? So it's like, the decision of, if you take the bite of the apple or not. Miss Eve, she was feeling greedy and hungry, honey, so she took a bite of the apple, and then it completely changed the trajectory, if you believe in the story, of humanity, right? Whereas like also they didn't take a bite of the apple, where would humanity be now, right? Again, if you believe in that, but you understand where I'm going there, right? And so it's so much more nuanced than just seeing the Lovers and be like, oh, love, right? Now, that being said, I will acknowledge that how this is showing up, especially with that Ace of Wands there, is perhaps being around people. It doesn't have to be necessarily romantic love, but it is definitely connection that you would like, connection that gets you excited about life again, gets you excited to, it's a slow burn connection, so don't be expecting fireworks, but it is like a connection that I feel like you are excited to get to know and get to grow with there, right? So pay attention to like where you frequent, right? I won't be surprised if you meet them, for example, at, maybe if you play video games, this easily could be the example of someone that chooses to get out of their shell when it comes to like, what you do in your off time, joining communities and stuff of that nature there. That probably is where this is going to be showing up. But yeah, whatever the case here is, friend, whatever personal reservations that you would have towards if someone were to knock on your door right now and ask you to hang out, what excuses you would list, start taking care of those excuses now, because the knock on the door is coming sooner than what you would expect. All right, friend? So, before we transition over to the social aspect for you, Leo, let's take a look in regards to what you need to be looking out for right now, if there's even anything to be looking out for. All right, what's going on? Queen of Cups coming in, Knight of Wands, the Three of Wands, Nine of Wands here. Pretty direct message, all this Wands energy, which I love, Leo. But yeah, pretty direct message here. This is more so telling you, or more reminding you, Leo, to remember the goal. Remember the finish line. Remember like what you are chasing after. I feel as if for some of you Leos, you might be in this place of a little bit of survival mode because life has just been hard. Maybe that's what that hermit is. It's like you chose to be in your shell for a little bit to recharge your battery, but your battery's been recharged for a little bit, for a little bit of time now, and so your spiritual team is kind of just looking on the clock. You're tapping their foot and just like, all right, Leo, you played small for a little bit. You chose to, put up the blackout curtains for a little bit, but time is ticking. It's time to get back out there. All right, and so that's really like the main message that I feel like is like your only like warning or heads up, Leo, is just like make sure that you have an exit plan if you are in like some type of recovery mode. All right. I don't think it's a bad thing to be in recovery mode. Obviously, your energy and your situation best of like if you need that break or not, but just make sure that you go into that break with also understanding, be like, all right, after X amount of days or, whatever, I'm going to be getting out of this as well. Right. Cause you don't want to fall into the habit of like bed rotting. Right. So that's what I see for you there, Leo, when it comes to your general situation. So now Start thinking about someone on your mind right now, Leo. I'm going to pull some cards and see if I am able to connect to the person that's on your mind. And then I'll do a quick spread as well and see about your just general social trajectory if you don't have someone that's on your mind, Leo. And again, we'll cover both bases here, right? So the person that's on your mind right now, Leo, 10 of Wands, King of Wands here. 4 of Pentacles and the Strength energy. Ooh, you're dealing with somebody that is very much similar to you. I won't be surprised if this is someone that you would either align as like being a karmic relationship / twin flame, soulmate type of dynamic there. I'm not identifying them as that. You know, I have my own personal opinions on those type of terminologies there, but you would probably identify them as that. I won't be surprised if people identify this person as that though. And you're dealing with a pretty big ego situation here. If you know, first thing that comes to my mind intuitively is that this person needs to be humbled a little bit and, you know, reminded of who the real Leo is. You know, to me, this is somebody that's getting a little bit too comfortable in the britches. They're too big for the britches here, where, you know, someone that chooses to like either like just take from you without feeling the need to like compensate, or they just take you for granted there. I don't know. To me, this is like someone that just needs a reminder, Leo, of just who you are. Now, just in your general social trajectory here, we got that 2 of Swords. We have the Sun. Okay, not bad. We have the Devil. I already kind of see where this is going, Leo. And this makes me think of Aries reading as well, quite a lot, even though you guys got very different cards. So if you have Aries in your chart, check it out as well. And your general social, or you probably will be meeting like an Aries. You know, I will say that. 5 of Swords in the back of the deck there. So, Leo, you have a choice to be making. Similar to Aries, you have a choice of where you're also at a crossroads of your life. Where, are you happy with your current social trajectory? Are you happy with how things have been developing and going? If yes, make no changes, friend. All right. If no, or you would like things to be a little bit more developed, a little bit more refined, all right, it's time to change paths. Don't feel obligated towards committing to somebody just because you can understand them, right? That's the thing. That's what's separating your reading from Aries reading in this aspect here. It's like, just because you can understand how certain people are, or now I'm calling you Aries, how certain people are, Leo, doesn't mean you have to stay along for the ride. You know, just because you know at the end the Titanic hits the iceberg doesn't mean you need to go on the Titanic and try to convince everybody the iceberg is coming. If they want to listen, they will listen. If they won't, they won't. But if they're not, that doesn't mean you have to go down with the ship as well. So I'm going to use that analogy, friend, but think about how that's relevant for your social life there. All right. Because to me, if you were to change paths, you would have a lot of really good energy. New people, very communicative people. You know, I feel like that's something that's really being highlighted here. People that like to communicate quite a bit there. Maybe that's something that you've been wishing other people would have. And then, yeah, naturally you have that Sun energy there, which is the best card in the tarot deck. It represents clarity. It represents really having like that inner child be healed on some level there through these connections. And so this is definitely, you know, the new energy fills up a cup that you've been craving for quite some time there. So that's what I feel there, just in regards to your general social. But going back to the person that's on your mind right now, Leo, what are their thoughts towards you? All right. I'm interested to see and hear how this ends up developing here, friend. Their thoughts and feelings towards you, 10 of Cups, all right. King of Pentacles coming in here in the reverse. The Magician. And then the back of the deck here, Leo, is the 2 of Swords. It's, I swear, Leo, you need to check out Aries reading because they had, again, a similar type of dynamic here, down to the 2 of Swords on both aspects of their spread from different tarot decks. This is dope. But their thoughts and feelings towards you, Leo, is, I mean, there's obviously love there. They clearly care about you, Leo. But seeing that King of Pentacles in the reverse tells me where it's like they're afraid of that commitment. It's that same cliche where it's like, oh, I care about you. I like how you make me feel. But when it comes to actually building something with you, when it comes to actually having to be a certain level of responsible, that's when they're out. They like to have a sense of control. I feel as if a big part of it's not as if they don't respect you, Leo. If anything, they respect you quite a bit, but it's like, again, I feel like this person struggles a little bit with an ego issue, perhaps. Maybe I'm being a little bit cynical about it, if I'm going to hold myself accountable. But I don't know. I look at that Magician energy and I consider that King of Pentacles in the reverse, as well as that King of Wands there. And it's like, to me, this person doesn't really handle other people knowing more than them very well. To me, this is somebody that is used to being the smartest person in the room and not really needing to take other people's thoughts or feelings into consideration, because they generally are used to just knowing more than the people around them. And so that's kind of where I feel like the wake-up call needs to happen. How you choose to execute that wake-up call for them, Leo, that's your own personal business, darling, right? I'm not going to tell you how to handle this or how to live your life, you're a friend. But I will just tell you that this is clearly somebody that, they care, but they also know what they're doing, right? They're very self-aware, Leo. So whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess it just depends on the actions that they've been taking towards you, but they know absolutely what they're doing. Yeah, Ace of Cups, Ace of Wands. We just got all the aces and then the Pentacles. Hello? And this is not a new deck, friend. Like, I've had this deck for years at this point. Like, I've used this deck and shuffled this deck thousands of times at this point here. We literally got 3 different aces, and then that Page of Pentacles once again, going back to that Two of Swords, what we talked about before. And if you were to change things up, Pages in Tarot represents new energy, Leo. And then again, what's on the other side is that Sun energy, right? And this just really exemplifies it, right? You have 3 different aces back to back to back to back, right? Ace of Wands, Ace of Pentacles, which in its own way can look like a sun, Ace of Cups. Friend, from my perspective at least, but it's easy for me to say it because, again, I don't have the emotions attached to your current situation here. You're better off looking for somewhere else. You're better off. I say this, and then even afterwards is the Page of Wands, friend. Right? You know where I want to go with this here, Leo. Do I even need to say anything? Do I? I don't think so. I think you know. So we'll just leave it like that, Leo. All right, my love, I hope this tarot reading gave you some good food for thought and something to, at the very least, again, I never like to tell people how they should live their life because it's not my business and it's your life to live. But I do hope that this gave you some perspective to help make some decisions in your life, to help motivate you, or hopefully this confirms some things. If it did, let me know in the comments below if there was like an aha moment that you got. And then, yeah, Leo, I also offer private tarot readings, one-on-one tarot readings. If you're interested in that, you can go down in the description box below and you'll see a link to my website. But yeah, until next time, my beautiful Leo, I will connect to you sometime in the near future, my darling. Take care.